You're listening to the Passionista podcast, episode number 34. Welcome to the Passionista podcast, where we believe that passion is everything. I'm Lindsay Nadler, empowerment coach and leader of the Passionista community. Here on the podcast, you'll find inspiring stories of women who've turned their passion into a reality, as well as the best coaching tips and resources so you can do the same and walk out your calling with confidence. All right, Passionista, let's get to it. Well, hello, Passionistas. Welcome to the podcast. If you are new to the podcast, I'm so excited that you're here. We've had so many new listeners and downloads and subscribers lately, and I just wanted to personally welcome you to this podcast and let you know that you are so valued, and it is my honor to serve you with some of the best coaching tips, encouragement, empowerment, because if you are a Passionista, and by the way, after you listen to one episode, and you come back for more, you are officially a Passionista. But it's funny because so many people I'm finding actually don't know what it means to be a Passionista. So I thought I'd take a minute to talk about that really quick before we dive into today's episode. And being a Passionista just means that you are on the journey to making your passion a reality, and that you're using your God-given gifts, strengths, and talents to make an impact in the world, and that you are committed to living wildly alive, that you believe that passion is everything, and you are on the journey to become, or to let loose, so to speak, who God really created you to be. So I am so excited of all the new people in the community and how our business is growing. And it's just an honor to serve you. It's an honor to help so many women become the confident leader that they were born to be, and go out there and make their passion, make their dream, make their side hustle a reality. I just absolutely love helping women change their lives. So, okay, let's get into today's topic. And what I want to chat with you about today is the extreme importance of you creating rhythms for success in your life. So recently I did an Instagram story all about my new morning rhythm and how I became a morning person and how it is changing my life. Like, guys, I literally feel like a new human being. And I promised you all that I would do an in-depth podcast episode on this process, because I know that this morning rhythm, routine, schedule, how to structure your day for success is something that so many people struggle with. They beat themselves up over. And I want to give you some practical things that you can do today to change that, because listen, you are not guaranteed another second on this planet. And if there is something about your life that you want to be different, you have the power to change it. You are a powerful individual. You are a powerful woman. It's your destiny. It's in your DNA. It's your birthright. So stop thinking that you're powerless to change something in your life. You absolutely can. It all comes down to the way you think, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So when it comes to establishing a morning rhythm, first, let's talk about, because I had a lot of questions on this, what is the difference between a rhythm and a routine? This is something that I teach my clients, and I think it's really important to understand this concept in your life so that you can have grace, so that you can give yourself space, and you don't treat yourself with so much rigidity and judgment when things aren't going according to plan. So the difference between a rhythm and a routine is this. First of all, if you can understand music, I love to lead worship. Me and my husband are music snobs. Like, we just love music. And so my brain kind of goes that way. And if you can look at your life based on your seasons, based on what's going on, the particular call that God has on your life, whatever's going on in your life, you're going to know, or if you've been around for any minute, you'll know that there's different rhythms to your life. There's different pace. There's a different pace. There's a different beat in certain seasons. And I think so many people are so worried about getting their life perfectly and balanced when there's no perfect balance. There is no work-life balance. There's priorities, there's seasons, and there's a rhythm of life. There's a pace of life. So what that means is like the beat is constantly going. The beat is always moving. Life is always happening. The earth is still rotating, all right? It's just the speed of it or the intensity that changes. So if you can understand that and say, I'm in a rhythm, and sometimes that rhythm is going to look really fast, really diligent, really structured. And sometimes that rhythm is going to be slower. There's going to be more space. There's going to be things that happen between the notes. And if you understand that, you can take the pressure off and just show up and be present in your life. Now, the other thing is just purely psychological. If we think about, okay, a routine, who wants to be in a routine? First of all, when I hear the word routine, I'm like, ugh, I'm like, that's boring. That like my inner rebel just wants to like kick that in the face. I'm like, no, thank you. I want to be spontaneous. I want to have room for variety and growth. Now you may be the person that you love the word routine and that gives you a lot of structure and security. But here's what I want to ask you about. What happens in your life when you don't have that structure and security in place? I know a lot of people who are very rigid and they live and die by their routine. And when one little thing, when a kink gets thrown, when a baby wakes up sick, when they're in traffic, when something happens that's out of their control, they lose their ever-loving mind. And guys, like that's not how life works. We have to get into the rhythm. We have to get into the flow. And we have to create that sometimes in our life in a season and space that works for us. So we all know those people that like if their routine is off, they lose it. They can't function, or they're really cranky, or they just can't be around. Like guys, we are not toddlers. And I'm using that analogy because like we all know, like when you have kids that are on super structured routines and they didn't get their nap in or something happened, they just are horrors to be around. And I would like ask you, like, how is that true in your life? If you're one of those people that is like live and die, routine, structure, rules. That's awesome. If it's working for you, great. But the question that I want to pose to you is what is happening in your emotions? What's happening in your soul when you're off of your routine? Can you still function? Or do you live in an all or nothing mentality? Or are you spending so much time in judgment of yourself and beating yourself up when it's not going according to your routine or according to your plan? Are you flexible? Are you adaptable? Are you willing to pivot? Are you willing to embrace light structure in your life? It's so important. So understand that there's a difference between rhythm and routine. For so many of us, I think we're saying like, I just need to be more disciplined. I just need to be more like laser disciplined. I need more discipline, self-discipline, create this super structured routine, just follow it to a T, be a little soldier, go through my life and everything will be perfect and everything will be certain and I'll have all the control. Listen to me, friend. That is not going to last very long. Newsflash, you actually have a lot less control than you think you do. In fact, the more that you can live with the amount of uncertainty in your life and the lack of control that you have and embrace what you can control, you're going to begin to live a really powerful life. So, all right. So the rhythm means that the beat changes, the pace changes, the intensity changes depending on your season of life. So within this rhythm that I'm going to tell you about for my morning and evening rhythm, there's space, there's room to breathe, there's light structure. I'm not demanding that I'm absolutely perfect if something happens or, there's a kink thrown in it, or because life is happening to us all and we have to be willing to adapt. So, okay, I think you guys got that. Understand the difference between rhythm and routine and let go of the rest and chill. All right. So for my morning rhythm, let me also let you guys in on where I'm coming from with this, because I know a lot of you can relate. I asked on Instagram, like, what's your morning rhythm like? What do you struggle with when it comes to creating one that works for you? And I got a lot of different answers. It's like my kids in the morning, just being physically exhausted. I'm not a morning person. all of the things, right? Feeling overwhelmed, or I hit the snooze button too much, or whatever. And what I want to encourage you is that we want to really shift to a place of being proactive instead of reactive. You guys hear me talk about that a lot, and I'm going to hone in it today. So, background for me. I grew up in a home where it was not cool to sleep in. I have shared a lot about that, in some videos or on the podcast, but I grew up in an entrepreneur home, very much performance mentality. My dad worked extremely, extremely hard, and that was expected of everybody else. And it wasn't that was anything verbally said. It was just as a child, something that you unconsciously pick up on. I never felt like it was okay to rest. I always had to be doing something, chipping in, helping. You guys get what I'm saying? So, and then as an adult, I want you to understand what I associated mornings with, okay? This is coming from, as you guys know, a recovering workaholic, a recovering performance mentality, recovering perfectionist, and whether you guys know it or not, you probably all are too, all right? Let's just be real with one another. So for me, I'm coming out of that, and then as an adult, getting up at 4 a.m. to go work a 12-hour shift as a police officer, or getting up at 5 a.m. to go personal train clients and run boot camps. And for me, I associated getting up early in the morning with something very negative, which was going to do something I wasn't super stoked about doing, being so physically exhausted, not allowed to rest, always have to go. And even after a couple of years after I got married, my husband, Rich, he would say, honey, babe, it's okay for you to just do nothing on a Saturday. You don't have to get up and immediately start cleaning the house and doing this and doing you can just physically rest. And it took me a really long time to embrace that. And so part of my journey was I built a multiple six-figure income that still pays me today to allow me to not have to get up at 4 a.m. and go work a 12-hour shift, or not have to get up at 5 a.m. and train clients and be physically exhausted all the time. And I can remember telling myself, if there's ever a time in my life where I do not have to get up at a certain time, I'm not. I'm just going to sleep to whenever I need to sleep and let my body wake me up. And that's totally fine, guys. Okay, I worked hard. I had a history, a proven track record of success. In my brain, I feel like I deserve to sleep in. I deserve to do those things. And I did. I was right. Okay. Both of these ways of thinking are right. However, in my new season, being someone who works from home, who has to structure their day for success, understands that my ability to serve you, to be creative, to produce things like this podcast and all of the free content that you guys get, all of the free coaching that I deliver to you, in order for me to do that at my best, I have to embrace a mentality that says, how do I need to feel in order to do that to the best of my ability? And for me, what I've been learning over the past couple of years is I'm at my creative best right after I get done working out, and I am at my creative best. I've got endorphins flowing when I get done doing that, and when I've structured my day to where I feel great, to where I feel confident. And I knew that based on the growth and how my business is growing and how I wanted to operate, that I had to make some changes. And it was okay, there's no way around this. You're going to have to get up earlier, and you're going to have to create some structure in your life. And guys, just being honest here, or just being transparent, I was a self-proclaimed not a morning person. It takes me a really long time to wake up. Those were all my limiting beliefs. Those were all the things that I had my identity wrapped around. My husband would even say, yeah, babe, you're kind of like an old tractor. It takes you a while to get going, but once you do get going, man, you're in it. And I'm like, dang, that's something that I really want to change about myself, because there is so many hours in a day. And I'm in this season, this new season. Again, guys, going back to the season, the rhythm of your season and what's required in that season. For me in this season, what is required in order for me to achieve the goals that I want, to make an impact on as many lives as I need to up-level my life, that means that I have to up-level as a person. And I had to get a compelling reason around why I was going to get up and create this structure for myself, okay? So those are some of my backgrounds. Those are some of my thoughts. Those are some of my limiting beliefs. They were, I'm not a morning person. It takes me a really long time to wake up and get going. I deserve to sleep to whatever time I want to, which I do. But this particular belief was holding me back from getting up because I was associating everything with getting up with being negative. Okay. I want you guys to understand this because odds are you're probably doing this in your life. You are associating a routine, the thing that you want to change, with something negative or a previous failure that you've had. And that's all you associate. So you're like, why would I do that? I've never been able to. I've tried and I failed. Why would I try again? I'm just not going to do anything. And it's also important to know that your brain scientifically loves patterns. It's going to want to do what's easiest to help you survive. It's going to want to do what it knows. Okay. We all are living based on what makes us comfortable. In order for you to get uncomfortable in your life and create something different requires a massive rewiring of your brain. That's just the reality. Your brain, you're biologically geared to go for safety, to go for comfort, because that's what your body thinks it needs in order to survive, okay? But growth only comes on the other side of getting uncomfortable. Now, how are you going to get uncomfortable? You have to change the way that you think and create a compelling reason in order for you to make the change. So here's how I changed it. What I did was I sat down with my journal. Shocker. You guys know I love to journal. If you hang out with me or you become a client, guess what? You're going to do it too. And you're going to learn to love it because it changes your life. It's amazing what happens when you just begin to write things on paper. So for me, I had to begin to write all of the things that I associated with getting up in the morning that were the limiting beliefs, all of the things that were wrong. And then I had to stop and think, okay, what's the reality and how can I get these thoughts to a neutral place? This is something I learned from one of my mentors, Brooke Castillo, and she really teaches that in order for you to change your thoughts, you have to believe your new ones. And if you don't believe, like I can say I'm a morning person all day long. I can say I love to get up in the mornings. I can say all of those things. But if I don't believe them, I'm never going to change. But what I can do is I can get behind something that's neutral. So what I began to say was, instead of I get up in the mornings and I get up, at this time and I'm like super chipper, I would just say 6 a.m. is in the morning. I get up in the mornings. Morning is coming. I would get as many things neutral as I could in order to get into agreement. Agreement is so powerful in your lives, my friend. What can you agree with? What are you agreeing with right now? What you agree with is what you give power to. Understand that. So I had to get to a place where I could get into agreement with a new thought about getting up earlier and creating a rhythm that worked in my life. And then the next thing that I wrote down was what are the things that I really want in the morning? And I uncovered this limiting belief that says, if you get up early in the morning, because I had to understand the thoughts that were behind why I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, guys. Okay. You don't know how many times I set my alarm for a certain time, hit the snooze button, didn't get up, felt like crap, beat myself up over it. So I had to ask myself, what am I thinking? Because what I'm thinking and what I'm believing is starting this whole process. And what I uncovered through this journaling deal is that I believed that if I got up early, then that meant that I was immediately going to have to start hustling and working hard and doing something I didn't want to do. And it was important to me in the mornings to have my time to ease into the day. You guys understand what I mean? So to have my coffee, to have my journal, to have time to think. That was what was so important to me. That was my compelling reason. And I'm just immediately associated. Well, when you get up in the morning, you don't do that because you're tired and you can't focus and you immediately have to start working, immediately have to start doing all these things that you don't necessarily want to do right then. And for me, y'all, I'm the strong-willed kind of a rebel. Well, actually a whole lot of a rebel. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And I worked hard not to have to do that. So I get to do whatever I want. And then I'm like, boom, that's exactly right. I get to do whatever I want. And so what I began to do was say, I get up in the mornings. I get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it was neutral, and there wasn't any negative emotion attached to it. So then I could believe in that. And then I looked at, okay, what would be my ideal morning in order to get me the results that I want, which is I want to feel focused. I want to feel clear. I want to feel proud of myself. I want to feel confident. I want to feel good. I want to feel pretty. Okay. And so I said, all right, I really need at least 30 minutes of time with no distractions, me and my coffee, which is very important, and I'll get to in a minute, just thinking or journaling or reading. That's what gives me life and gets me in a creative flow. I also really like it when my workout is done first thing in the morning. And I also like it when I feel good about myself physically, i.e., I'm wearing normal clothes, putting on makeup, and not living in my pajamas. If you guys work from home or you're a stay-at-home mom, you understand the difference there. And as you can call it vanity, what if the reality is that it makes you feel better. And when you feel better, you perform better. That's the reality. I learned that from my softball days, having your uniform all nice, feeling like, man, I'm in the game. It's important. When you feel like a slob, when you feel like you're not feeling like super great, that's how you take action from that place. Okay. So for me, I created a rhythm that would allow me to feel great, which was going to allow me to take the action to get the results that I wanted in my life. And you guys, the rhythm that I've created that works for me is a game changer. I feel like a new person. I am a new person. I'm thinking better. I'm more creative. I'm focused. I physically feel better. And I have learned, you guys, it's like a miracle. This non-morning girl who took forever to get going, now I love the mornings because I'm craving that time. I'm craving those moments, okay? So that's just a little background. I know it took a while to get here, but I want you to understand you have to know why you're doing what you're doing and what you're thinking that's causing you to not do what you want to do. Another little tidbit here is you need to begin to ask yourself really smart questions. Ask your brain good questions. So if you're constantly saying, why can't I get up? And why can't I do this? And I'll miss my workout. And why can't I? And blah, blah, blah. Your brain's going to give you the answer that you're looking for. And then you're just going to repeat the cycle. So instead of asking yourself, why can't I? Switch it and let's say, how can I? How can I get up? How can I create a rhythm that works for me? How can I feel how I want to feel and put some things in place that are going to allow me to do that? All right. So that's just another little tidbit. So here is now my before and after. Okay. Before, I would sleep until whatever time my body wanted to wake me up, depending on how I went to bed the night before, which is, we'll get to in a minute when we get to the evening part. And I would get up, I'd stay in my pajamas for a couple hours. I would make my coffee. I would immediately start working, which was so funny. I'm already behind the game, right? When I didn't want to get up because I didn't want to immediately start working. You guys understand what I'm saying here? So I'd immediately start working and I would not feel good. And then my endorphins wouldn't be hitting. And I would try to get a workout in whenever I could and maybe 3 days a week. And everything was just kind of all over the place. And then I'm wondering, why am I struggling with a lack of creativity? Why is it taking me 3 hours to do something that should take me 1 hour? And it's because my brain was not being utilized to the best of its ability. Listen, friends, we are incredible machines. We are incredible. Our brains are incredible. Our bodies are incredible. Our hearts are incredible. Our minds are incredible. You have the power to change so much. So here's what it looks like now. So now I wake up anywhere between 6 and 6:30. So I get up no later than 6:30. That's my base for who I am. Okay. It's important for you to have some bases. Okay. Do you see how I've got flexibility there? And I've also got a base camp. So I get up between 6 and 6:30. No later than 6:30 though. Okay. I get up, I go brush my teeth, wash my face, and I immediately put on my workout clothes. Okay, that's important because I don't want to stay around in my pajamas, and it's so much easier not to put on my workout clothes. I immediately put on my workout clothes. Then I go into the kitchen where my coffee has been brewed because I set it the night before. Okay. I make my coffee, which is a whole art in of itself. This is very important. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys, when I turn that alarm off, my phone stays on the dresser. I do not pick up my phone. I do not take it in the bathroom. I don't take it. I'm not messing with my phone. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not touching my phone. This has been a game changer for me because when you get on your phone first thing in the morning, your brain is reactive and you're putting yourself in an ADD space. Okay. So I don't look at my phone. I don't touch it. When I turn the alarm off, it stays right there on my bedside table for a hot minute. It stays there for a while. I'll tell you when I pick it back up again. So, all right. So I got up, brushed my teeth, washed my face, put my workout clothes on. Then I go get the coffee. The phone is still in the bedroom. The coffee is very important. I take my coffee, which I've got all doctored up with all my jazz in it. I've got a lot of stuff in there. Maybe I need to do a separate podcast episode on that. But I've got turmeric creamer in it. I've got my collagen. I've got this other type of creamer that I love. And it's been all frothed. And I put a little bit of cayenne and cinnamon and cloves. And it's ready to go. It's the best. It's in my favorite Yeti mug that I drink out of every morning. And I sit on my couch anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Okay. See how I've got space there, depending, but baseline 30 minutes minimum, no phone. And that is my time to do with whatever I want. And it's going to involve several different things, depending on how I feel on that day, depending on what I need. I'm either going to read something. I'm going to journal. I'm going to just sit and watch the sun come up and pet my dogs. I pray, worship, breathe, meditate, whatever I feel like I need in the moment. But 90% of the time, there's always going to be journaling involved. Okay. So that's my time. Now, for some of you that have children, the bottom line is you're going to have to get up an hour earlier before them or whatever time frame you need to do whatever you need to do for you so that you can create and that you can be in flow and that you can serve to the best of your ability. Okay. So that 30 minutes to an hour is for me, but then boom, it's done. So when I'm done drinking my coffee, I set the coffee down. I go throw some vitamins in my mouth, my pre-workout, grab my water bottle, and I go upstairs to my home gym and I get on my Peloton bike and I'm going to do anywhere 30 minutes to an hour or like, there's space here, okay? There's space. So even if like maybe let's say I wanted to journal for an extra 10 minutes, well, I can at least do a 20-minute cycle. So I love Peloton. I love the workouts. I love the bike. It's been a game changer in my life. So I go upstairs and I work out 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what I need, how my body's feeling, where I'm at. And then I go downstairs, I make my green smoothie, and then I go get ready for my day. So like I take a bath, I do my hair, I put my clothes on, I put my makeup on, and boom, anywhere between 9 o'clock to 9:30, I'm starting my work day. Just like a normal person going to a job every day would start their work. And that's the beauty of working from home is that you can really create a life that works for you. And yeah, you can work from whenever, wherever, and however you want. And you're not clocked in, but I'm just here to tell you, if you can create light structure in your day and give and chunk off blocks of time for you to do things, it's going to change the game in your life. So that's my routine. Now, let's say I've got a call at 8 a.m. So that means everything's got to get bumped up a little bit, okay? Because no matter what, even if I have a call at 8 a.m., I'm still doing my morning rhythm, okay? The pace and the intensity of that just might look a little bit different. So that might look like a 15-minute Tabata workout. It may look a little bit different. I tweak it. I'm not like glued into it having to be perfect. having to be such a rigid routine, but it's still happening. The rhythm, the speed, the intensity of it has just changed a little bit. This has allowed me to set myself up to be more consistent, to create momentum in my day and momentum in my life. So let me go back real quick, because you guys are probably going like, when did you pick your phone up again? So when I come downstairs, I make my smoothie, I go in my room, then I pick up my phone. And while I'm getting ready, I listen to a podcast or some worship music or something positive. I may check in on social media or emails if there's something important that I know I need to follow up on. But that's it. And guys, probably out of all of the things that I just said, the leaving my phone in my room until I start my quote unquote work day is like money. It's been so great for my brain, getting the best ideas, focusing clearly, being intentional on how I want to feel, how am I thinking, what's going on in my body, what do I need to do? Like, so many of us, you're having such a hard time in your life and your business right now because you haven't created space to just think, to just sit and think. Like, literally, like, when is the last time you just sat and thought about your life, thought about your business, thought about nothing, and just let the creative ideas come instead of constantly living reactive to your life or constantly consuming data and information on your phone? If you constantly consume, you're going to begin to notice a difference in your attention span and your creativity, because our brains only have so much that they can focus on, and our brains actually burn calories. And so many of us are beginning our day, our work day, our creative day at a caloric deficit in our brain mentally, if that makes sense to you at all. So I'm like, I can't have that. I've got to be focused because I have a vision for my life and I have a calling on my life to make an impact and to go after what God has called me to do, which involves empowering women and helping women build life and businesses that they could have only dreamed of. And so that requires me to do things differently. It's almost like back to the athlete days. But except I don't get I'm not getting my worth, my sense of self-worth from how well I perform, but I am treating my calling seriously. I am treating how I operate creatively seriously. And I'm like, okay, how does a professional athlete take care of themselves, mind, body, and spirit? Because understand, like, if you're called to big things, like, you have to have that mindset. And I believe that all of you are. And it doesn't matter. Like, when I say called to big things, I know a lot of you are going, well, I'm just this. Stop it. Stop. You're like, well, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I mean, what big things am I doing? That's huge. Everything you do is big. Everything you do matters. So cut all that stuff out. Like, I see so many people say, well, I'm not you, or that's one of the reasons why they hold themselves back, and it's just a big fat excuse. They'll say, well, I'm not naturally geared towards that personality, or I'm not like her, I'm not like this person. Who asked you to be like anybody else? What does having to be like anybody else have to do with you showing up to your life and chasing your dreams? It is the biggest freaking bullshit excuse I've ever heard. God didn't ask you to be somebody else. He asked you to be you. So be you, show up to your life, and figure out, what do you need to do in order to create the results that you need? What do you need to do to feel creative? What do you need to think to feel creative, to feel focused, to feel in line with your purpose, to feel motivated? Your thoughts create your feelings, my friend. Stop beating yourself up for how you feel. Stop judging yourself. Look at your life and say, what do I want? How can I create something that works for me? For me, not what somebody else is doing, not like how well they do it, what works for me and my life. And a question that you need to always ask yourself is, how's that working for you? How's that excuse working for you? How's the current situation working for you? If nothing changes, nothing changes. I'm telling you guys, I feel like a new person because I am a new person. I feel like I'm free in this area. And what is so amazing is that when you begin to do this, and it all comes down to what you're thinking, What are you associating with the action that you want to change? Okay. A lot of you think that if I just make myself get up and I just do that a million times, then it'll become a habit and it'll change. No. You will struggle. You will struggle immensely with that because you haven't changed the thoughts behind your action. It's why people stop and start dieting. They stop and start smoking. They stop and start drinking. It's because they're trying to will themselves into a habit instead of changing the thought process behind it. All right. So the other thing that I'll briefly highlight on and that I'm still tweaking right now is my evening routine. And it's similar, but the reality is that how my evening went, how my night went, a lot of times determines how my morning is going to go. My morning starts the night before. So some things that have helped me recently is eating earlier in the evening, limiting my screen time about an hour before I go to bed. So not on my phone, not on the computer, not watching TV, not watching or engaging in anything that's going to keep my brain up and going. I also, you guys have probably seen this on my Instagram. I use a ton of stuff to sleep, to sleep well. My issue is always turning my brain off. But now it's so crazy. It's so amazing that now that I've got this morning rhythm going and I understand how my brain functions best, I realized that before the reason that I couldn't turn my brain off is because I wasn't structuring it to focus well. And then by the end of the day, it had just figured everything out and had started going. And so much of it becomes about energy and brain management. Okay. So my evening routine will look like, or my evening rhythm will look like, in best case scenario, there's always good, better, best, is going to look like no TV an hour before bed. Now, I'm the first to tell y'all, okay, there may be a show on that we like to binge on Netflix or watch on TV. Yes, I do that. Okay, I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. But I like to, best case scenario, get in bed an hour before I'm actually going to sleep. And guess what's going to happen? I'm going to read or I'm going to journal. It's always a mainstay in my life. I'm not going to scroll through my phone. I'm not going to do any of the things that are going to get me hyped up or activate my brain. I like to take a bath with lavender Epsom salt or magnesium oil, which is phenomenal for your muscles, helps you relax. I take CBD oil. I do the bedtime stress relief tea. I take a product called Nighttime Recovery, which helps my muscles as I sleep. It's all about that deep sleep, y'all. And the last thing that I've incorporated in my evening routine and sleeping is a weighted blanket. I'm obsessed with the weighted blanket. It helps me relax. It feels like a hug, feels like I'm back in the womb. Okay. I love it. And it is changing how I'm sleeping, which in turn changes how I get up. And I will put the link to, if you guys are interested, I will put the link to that weighted blanket in the show notes. I've had a lot of people ask me about it actually. So that's it, guys. That is the morning rhythm. That's what I'm doing. That's what works for me, especially being someone that works from home. Creating that structure in my day is so important. Now, I know that a lot of you may have a side hustle. You may currently be at your, you may have to clock in somewhere at a certain time. So it's going to look like, how do you function best? How do you operate best? What works for you? And can you give yourself grace instead of judging yourself? Can you look at what you're thinking that's causing you to feel a certain way? Because how you're feeling is why you are either taking the action or not taking the action. So it may take some journaling. It may take asking yourself the right questions. And then it may take you proving to yourself that you can do it and developing momentum. For a lot of us, we sabotage ourselves because we think we're not worthy. And so we'll do the thing 3 days in a row and we've gained momentum. And then we're like, oh, I did good. So now I can hang back. And I want to encourage you not to. All the scientists and the researchers out there say it takes 21 days to form a habit. Some people say it really takes 60. Some people say it takes 90. The reality is it's going to take more than a week. It's going to take more than a couple days. So can you get a month under your belt? Can you prove to yourself you can do it? It's okay to be proud of yourself. It's okay to say, I did this. I'm changing my life. It's all right. So what can you think about that's going to change how you feel, that's going to allow you to take the action that you need to take? So guys, that's it. That's my morning rhythm. I hope that you can embrace a rhythm like this in your life and come back and let me know how it goes and how it is changing the game for you. Before we go, I want to remind you that this podcast is totally free. And I do this to make an impact in your life and to hopefully influence you and add value and inspire you so that you can chase after your dreams. So here's what I'd love for you to do. If you are loving this podcast, make sure that you subscribe and leave me a review. Those reviews are life. Passionista, come on now. If you're a part of this community, I need you to leave me a review. That ensures that this podcast gets seen and allows me to continue to produce it for free. So leave me a review, snap a screenshot of this episode, send it to a friend, and tag me on social media because I love to put a name with a face. So, all right, guys, until next time, go get that morning rhythm going, and we will talk soon. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And because I am so grateful, I want to give you something for free. Head over to lindsaynadler.com where you can download my completely free confidence affirmation and mantra that you can use every single day to instantly boost your confidence and renew your mind. And if you are loving all of the free content you're getting here on the podcast, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and share this episode with a friend, because empowered women empower women. I would love to connect with you on social media. You can find me at Lindsay Nadler on every social media platform. Until next time, I'll talk with you soon.